Hello everyone, welcome back to Angela's Craft Room. Today I've got another mail card for you, mail themed card, using the stamp set Truly Tailored, and I've also used the True Gentleman DSP along with the Night of Navy corduroy ribbon. I've also done a curtain fold across with my DSP, and I'll show you how I did that. I have done videos before doing the curtain fold where you slice off the side or you do the double curtain fold, but this time I decided just for something different, just to go straight across without cutting off the sides or anything like that. So we will get started. So the base of my card is in Night of Navy, which is 11 inches long by 4 1/8 of an inch wide and scored at 5.5 inches. Sorry. And then inside, your piece of Whisper White is 5 1/4 inches by 3 7/8 of an inch, and I've just stamped a sentiment inside. So that's your base card, which is pretty straightforward. This is the stamp set that I've used, is Truly Tailored, and as I said, I've used the True Gentleman DSP. I've also used the Truly Tailored Tag Punch. I stamped the sentiment out just on a piece of Whisper White, just so you can see I've already stamped it out. To release the Stampin' Out punch, you just push that down, and then you just line it up like that and just simply punch it out, and it makes life a lot easier. So I did that in Night of Navy, so my sentiment is all ready to go. And then inside the card you will also need another piece of Whisper White, which measures 5 1/4 inches by 3 7/8 of an inch, exactly the same as the inside piece. And then I've just stamped down the bottom where on my original one I stamped the word Dad. This time I decided to stamp the bow tie down the bottom there. I thought that went with the sentiment to a classy kind of guy. So we'll get a piece of DSP, which I said is from the True Gentleman DSP. You can use whatever DSP you want. And then I find it easier for this technique to score using my Stampin' Up trimmer. You can use your scoring board, whatever you find easier. So I will put below the scoring line intervals, and I will tell you as we proceed, but I will put it down below the post as well, because I know it's hard to write them down as you go. So to start with, we're going to have to start at half. We've got to score at 1/2 inch. So when I've got to score at 1/2 inch or an inch, I always line up over this side of my trimmer. So I have to score at 1/2 inch, and then I move it across and I'm going to score at 3/4 of an inch, and then I'm going to turn it like so, because I need to score it at 1 1/2 inch, and the 1 1/2 inch is right over there, which makes it a bit difficult. So I'm going to line that up at 1 1/2 inch and score that, and then at 1 3/4 of an inch. And then what we do is we turn the whole piece of DSP and score on the other side, and we're going to score it at 2 1/2 inches, 2 3/4 inches, 3 1/2 inches, and 3 3/4 inches. And then we have to do it all again on the other side. So I'm just going to turn it over and I'm going to line that up at 1/2 inch and score that. Then move it over to the 3/4 and score that. Then just turn it, but I'm still on this side, and then I'm going to score it at 1.5. One and 3/4, and then turn it so I'm on completely the other side, and I'm going to score that at 2.5 and at 2 3/4, 3.5 and 3 3/4. Okay, so that's all the scoring done, and as I said, you might find it easier to use your scoring tool, but I find it easier to use the trimmer. So starting from one end, I'm going to start with a mountain fold. So when I say mountain fold and valley fold, just think of a mountain peak so that it needs to be folded upwards, and then when we do a valley fold, we're going to fold that back on itself so you've got that little valley fold. Okay, so we're going to really reinforce this with a bone folder, but we're just going to do each side just a rough fold first. So you always start with a mountain fold, and then you do your valley fold, and then I'm going to turn it and start from the other side, and you get the mountain fold, the valley fold, the mountain fold, the valley fold. I just really like the effect this is on a card. It just, especially when you're just really adding a sentiment. So we've got 2 left in the middle. So 1 2 3 4, 1 2 3. So 4 on each side. So go the mountain, and then you go the valley. And then if you fold it all in together, they should meet pretty much flush in the middle, which they do. So I'm just going to grab, another point is that when you're doing your scoring, whatever pattern you want on your card, like whatever pattern you want it to show on your card like that, you need that pattern to face you upwards when you're scoring. I hope that makes sense. So now I'm going to just go in and really give it a good go with my bone folder, because I want really good sharp creases. And we're going to reinforce each one of these folds with some glue dots underneath, and that will help us to hold that in place. So you can turn it over and just give it a really good crease as well. But you really need a bone folder for this technique. like so it sits nice and flat on your card. So I'm just going to grab the mini glue dots and a pair of tweezers, and now under each one of these folds we want to put 2 glue dots, one at the top there and just one at the bottom, and then just fold it down and that will hold it in place. So it won't take too long to do that. So it's just getting the glue dot to stay there, which is the trick sometimes. So then we're just going to, that goes down. So I find it easier to just get the glue dot off with a pair of tweezers. And I wouldn't try doing it with a glue because you won't get that really nice creased effect. Just check that, because and then we're going to turn it and do it the other way. I don't know how I got a glue dot on my thumb because I'm positive that I got 2 under each fold. So we just got to do this side. Fold that down. Only a couple more to go. And I've had this packet of glue dots forever and a day. I don't use them very often, but just with techniques like this is where you need them. So, you know, every adhesive I do use for a particular reason. I have previously done a tutorial on all the adhesives I use. I think there's about 7 of them. But like the glue dots and the tear and tape, they just last forever. So that should be about the last one, I think. So we're going to tear that off and pop our glue dots away. So you get 300 glue dots in that box, and I don't know how long I've had it for, absolutely years I think. So that's all nice like that. Now what we want to do on the reverse side is we want to add some tear and tape. So we're going to do the bottom bit first. And this will hold all those folds in place as well as adhere to your card very well. So you can see how it's pulled in at that side. So when we do this side, we've got to make sure that we've got them down nice and sharp. Otherwise they won't pull in evenly. So it's a great way to use up your DSP as well, your designer series paper. I think I might have forgot to tell you the size of the designer series paper too. It was 8 inches by 3 inches before we started folding. Now we're going to remove that and we're going to grab our Whisper White and pop that where we want it on our card. And got to think where this is going to be sitting as well. So we just want it just above that tie. So that's a good reason to stamp that if you're going to stamp an image like I did for this particular card at the bottom of your Whisper White, you know, it's a good idea to work out where you want this piece to be. So I'm just going to put that as a guide on a grid line, doesn't matter which one, but I'm going to do it upside down because I want it to be just so I just want it to be above that bow. Like that. And once the tear and tape goes down, you won't pull it up. So it's really a nice effect, I think. So now I'm going to add, I want to add some Night of Navy ribbon at the top and also at the bottom. So to do that, I want to add some tear and tape at the top, on the back of the Whisper White, but at the top of the DSP, where I can see just where that DSP is on the other side, but I am using my grid lines to help me as well. Sometimes you can just see through to where that, I'll just pop it onto that. So I'm just going to pop that there. So it doesn't matter how many grid lines or how big the grid lines are or anything like that I've been asked before. It's just I'm using it as a guide. Okay. So I will remove one of those tear and tapes. And I'm just going to put a piece of ribbon on the back, and I'm literally going to wrap it around, but I want it to be right above that right above my bow, and don't put it down because otherwise so that needs just to come up a little bit. So I'm just wrapping it round, and then it's going to catch that ribbon at the back. And I need my ribbon scissors. So that's the bottom piece. And now we're going to take the other piece off and do the top. So I have a second piece ready to go. And I'm just putting it on the edge because I want to make sure which this one is lining up a lot easier. So I just check that and I'm happy with that. So I'm just going to let that adhere to the tear and tape. I won't glue ribbon with anything but tear and tape. It just isn't worth the effort. So then you've got that. So then we're going to bring in our card base and we're going to glue that to the front of our card, and I'm just going to use some Tombow liquid glue, and I'm not going to put tear and tape like I normally do on the ribbon because it's not at the top of the card or the bottom. Or at the side, I can literally put my glue in between. It doesn't have to be on any of part of the ribbon. I'm putting a bit on because in case I have to move it, but hopefully I won't. So I'm just going to put that on a grid line. And my bow is at the bottom, and I just want to eyeball that so I can get the top straight and the bottom straight, and about the same width on the sides, or border on the sides that I can. And then that's going to go on there. But I've noticed that I've got a little bit of glue, so I'm just going to grab my adhesive rubber. Got a little bit of glue happening on there. So if it's dry, it will come off. And a tip, when your rubbers get like that, I've just got a tip for you while we're here. That black, all you need to do is cut that off with your scissors. Okay, and then you've got a nice clean adhesive remover again. Okay, so we'll just pop our glue away, and now we need some dimensionals. Now, because I want the card to sit up over the ribbon, I'm going to have to put 2 lots of dimensionals on. So I'm going to, this is my first lot, and then I want to put another lot on top of these ones because I need that extra height. So then we just need to put another 4, try and put them on the same way. So it's just going to give you that bit of extra height. So then we're just going to take those off. If you wanted more height, you could even put 3, but I think should get me above my ribbon. Yeah, so I'm happy with that. So try and get it in the middle. So I'm just going to line that up. And then I know that that thicker line there is going to, the point here needs to line up with that, as well as the middle of your curtain fold. And then just press it down, and the card's all finished. So I just think it's a nice, easy mail card to do. And as I said at the beginning, you could just not do the curtain fold if you didn't want to, and you could just put a piece of DSP across there if you wanted to make it a really simple card. So that's the two cards. Bit of glue coming out of that one. Just wipe it with a bit of cotton bud. When it dries, it'll dry clear. So that is the same DSP. It's the True Gentleman DSP, and the same stamp set, Truly Tailored, which I think is a really good one for the mail theme cards. It's just that it's mainly sentiments, so you really need to do a technique on your card and then use the sentiments to finish them off. And the Truly Tailored Tag Punch, it makes it so much easier for you to punch out that sentiment as well. So I hope you've enjoyed that tutorial, and until next time, happy crafting!